Good morning, everybody, and okay, well, Dr. Foster, welcome and good morning, and we'll get the meeting going. Call to order at exactly 10 o'clock and 20 seconds, all right? Public comment on non-agenda items. Public, we have three members of the public. No comment? Okay.
No comment.
Review and approval of meeting notes from January 25, 2018. Yes, sir? You okay?
No, can we get this one on too?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ah.
I thought I had it on. My bad.
I can't see that far.
And I wasn't seeing anything, you know, so it was.
I pressed it.
Hey, Mark. Oh, I thought I had my, oh, here you go.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe a
This
technical
might help.
difficulty.
Gary, how are you?
Good morning, how are you?
I'm doing very well, sir.
Apparently it's not working today.
It's not
Oh,
working
well.
today,
It's not-
well.
Because I did it.
Well, you have it here in your packet.
Yeah, I only brought the important stuff.
Okay.
It's,
I didn't bring them in.
Yeah, now it is. Tito, it's on.
Well, TK is on it, so it will work now.
It's on now.
Okay, we got
Semper
it.
Fi.
It's coming.
Raw.
Yes.
All
Did you just say
right,
raw?
Yeah.
Raw.
Ways of simplifies.
Raw.
all right, so
Make it bigger.
we have a motion to approve.
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, okay, we move on to information items, spring and presence of day. As you know, we started the semester 2 days ago. Our numbers are looking good. As of this morning, we were at 91% capacity. And that may be good or may not be good. Dr. Junie will tell you a little bit about it in a few minutes. As you also know, CCLC sent out two days ago the simulation on the new funding formula for all the districts. I think most of you have seen the simulations. Based on the 15-16 data, PCC would be okay. We would lose about $246,000, which is not bad at all. In fact, it's excellent compared to what the neighboring districts are going through. Mount Sac down $5 million. LA, I think $9 million. North Orange, $14 million. Glendale, I don't know how many million dollars. Rio Hondo, $7 million. Citrus is doing very well. I think Citrus is gaining about $7 million. I will stop right there on that. Citrus gaining about 7 million. Is it 7 million, Terry? But Citrus is gaining.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up.
Well, let me tell you why I'm stopping right there, because I think it is important that we look at that. Citrus is gaining because Citrus has an excellent graduation rate. I'm not talking numbers. Excellent graduation rate for the size of the institution, right? Compared to us, our graduation rate is not that great. The example I will give to you is about a month or two ago, we were in LA. We were recognized. We tied for second place for number of degrees, transfer degrees awarded. We tied for second place with an institution, as I mentioned before, that is slightly bigger than a third our size, which means that we got to second place because we are big and we bulldozed our way through, right? And our sheer numbers got us in second place. But it's not like, it doesn't work really like this. It works on what is your rate. So I know we have faculty present today, and I've discussed that with with administrators, that there is something that we need to be able to do. We need to figure out what it is that we need to be doing to be able not only to retain our students, but also to get them to complete successfully so that we can improve that graduation rate. The funding is based now on 50% on FTES, 25% on success, that is graduation, transfer, jobs, and everything else, and then 25% on local economic and workforce conditions. So it is very important that we as an institution we set our foot immediately. I'm going to be tasking Dr. Junie and Dr. Olivo to work together on putting up a task force of faculty and staff to see what we need to be doing as an institution to improve our graduation rate, which is very important because the livelihood of the institution will depend on that. Already, schools are upset when they're looking at what the new numbers are looking like with the formula. You know, just think about it. Your institution the size of Mount Sac and you're losing $5 million. What else? All those things that will not be able to be done. How are you going to handle your payroll? Right? You think of North Orange County Community College District, down by I think 13 or 14 million dollars. How do you do that? Right? Thank God, based on the simulation for us for the 15-16 data, it's about $240,000 or so that we will be losing. But it is an important thing that we need to be looking at. You know, we've identified our commencement speaker, right? And we are very happy that Dr. Olivo, tell us the name.
Dr. Sean Harper.
Sean Harper will
He
be.
is one of the national experts on race, racism, and equity. After the incident at Charlottesville, Dr. Harper was the speaker at the university, and so we're really looking forward to learning about his expertise.
Right.
And he's now at USC, and he's the director of a new Center for Equity at USC.
All
It's quite a coup because he was at the University of Pennsylvania and highly regarded by many faculty and staff there
All
and
right.
across the country.
So we're very happy to, and he has been to the college. He'll be here, right?
No, we've
No,
never
no,
had
no.
him here before.
He'll be here, so we are very happy to know that he will be our commencement speaker. We had thought of many people, right? But we wanted somebody that will carry the message that we have about diversity on campus. And as you know, we want to bridge the achievement gap, and we're looking forward that Dr. Harper will give us a message of hope on June 15th for commencement. All right? Yesterday there was a very great reception at Trustee Berlinda Brown's home, and Dr. Olivo was there, Dr. West was there, and who else in this room was there? Right? But it was a great event honoring the civil rights leaders of the 60s and 70s, and Ambassador Andrew Young was there, Dr. Lafayette was there, right, and the mayor of the city of Selma was there, and all three of them spoke. I mean, it was a great event. I had an opportunity to speak with Ambassador Young for a few minutes because I got there a bit early, and I found out through Ambassador Young, who has been to my native land twice, that the deal to get the Olympic Games in Atlanta was sealed on the island of Mauritius in 1989. Because in 1989, the Organization of African Unity Summit, Head States Summit, was held on the island. And you went there to address the 19 heads of state, including the head of state of Mauritius, to ask them for the support. Because 3 months later, the vote for the city that will host the Olympic Games was to be held. And so he asked them for their support, letting them know that Atlanta is a black city in the United States, and that the roots, the connection between Atlanta and Africa were very strong, and he would like for them to support Atlanta. And Atlanta was competing against Athens, Greece. And he told me, he said, well, you know, and there were, I think Dr. Lafayette was there and a few other people were there when we were talking yesterday. And he said, Atlanta sealed the very first round, Africa back. Atlanta, and that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was incredible. I
Yeah.
mean, to know that he was he helped draw up the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voters' Rights Act of
Right.
1965 for the United States. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah, it was a wonderful event, and I'm glad I got to speak with her. I got some nice pictures with him, so that's good for posterity. All right. You know, we are proceeding with the hiring of 2 administrators right now. We've finished the interviews for the executive director of IT. We've identified a candidate, and we will be making an offer probably as soon as you get done with those calls, and I will make a couple of calls too. Probably tomorrow or Monday we will make an offer. And you will all be very happy with the choice that we have made. And I think the person coming in has the ability to bring people together and get people to work together. That person has a very important position right now in a major organization in the state of California, right? And that person has demonstrated significant breadth of knowledge in the field of IT and ability to work with people of all walks of life. So I'm not going to mention any name now because we have not contacted the person yet. We haven't made the offer, but we do know that once the name is announced, you will all be very delighted with that choice. Okay. We are also right now interviewing for one of the 2 directors of HR, and I think we will finish the interviews by tomorrow, and we're going to push forward for an offer as early as next week. We are not proceeding with the vice president of HR because we're going to give the incoming president an opportunity to pick his or her own senior leaders. You also know that Dr. Story is leaving us. On Monday is his last day. On Tuesday he is starting his new job at Saddleback College as vice president for administrative services. And that position also will not be filled, but we will have an interim there. And if everything goes well, that interim should start in the next 2 weeks or so. I am checking all the references and so on right now, so we will bring somebody in. Because this is an important month, the months of March and April, a critical month, because that's the month when we have to prepare the budget and all that stuff. And the person coming in has significant background in that. And then after that, I mean, there will be a search for the permanent position later. And this will conclude my report. I'm not going to talk about academic affairs and everything else. I may say something about business and administrative services because Dr. Stoughty is not here. You know, today at the board meeting, we will have an agreement, a lease agreement, if you want, the shell of a lease agreement with the USD signed. Not signed, but approved by the board. You know, we have a very solid presence at Rosemead in the southeastern part of our district, and now we're going to sign an agreement with PUSD to lease 1 full building from PUSD on the newer campus, and so that will be signed tonight. Hopefully the board will approve that, and Dr. Juni and Dr. Bell will be working on the types of program that we will be offering there. We're taking a whole building, which is bigger than the building that we have in Rosemead. And this will be entirely ours. The rent is $150,000 a year and will not go up for 15 years. Okay, so I think we've got it very well in that, $150,000. I won't tell you what the lease is for Rosemead. I mean, it goes up every year, and in 2 years we'll be paying $744,000 for Rosemead, right? Whereas here it's $150,000 done deal for 15 years, each year the same amount. And we're looking forward to that. We will invest about $600,000 to $700,000 in the building to make sure that we can have a building that is at the same level as the buildings we have on our campus. Right? So that is going to happen tonight. The other thing that is happening also tonight is, as you know, the state has withdrawn its support for the U building at 100%. There were 2 institutions PCC and City College of San Francisco that had buildings funded at 100%. But the state has withdrawn that support, and the state will only support at 50%. And the state also will not contribute to any additional expenses. But the state wants the building to be exactly the same building as it was, regardless of that. And the state's argument for that is you would not have been funded if this building was not deemed unsafe. You would not have received the priority that you received if the building had not been deemed unsafe. You would have had to go through the same process that other institutions had to go through. Since that was bypassed, you have to comply with that. So we've received so far $2.2 million from the state for architectural design. We are not recommending to pull out immediately because we don't know what the state would do. The state may change its mind in May, and the state may change its mind in June with the final budget. So we will continue to proceed without spending our money, but just the state's $2.2 million, which otherwise will have to be returned to the state, and the district will reconsider after the May revise and the June final budget. Because if the state is funding it at 100%, even though we do feel that the building should be built differently, it is going to be a little bit ridiculous on our part to say no to this kind of money for a building that is going to be brand new, or otherwise there will be no building, right? And later on, as the district gets more money through bond or any other form of funding, another science building can come up to fulfill all the needs that are required. But in the meantime, a free building is not something that you want to pass over. So it's not, I'm not going to be the one that will be making that decision, but the district will be making that decision at some point in June. Okay? So, other than that, I think we are looking forward to presenting another balanced budget for 18-19, and that will be presented to the board at the appropriate time. I believe in May we have to present a temporary, not a temporary, what you call that? A tentative budget, or proposed budget, that's good, yeah. All right. That's about all I can tell you with Business and Administrative Services update, so. Any question on that? No? All right, okay. Academic Affairs update, Dr. Judy.
Thank you. So I want to report out on a couple of things. First of all, enrollment. Dr. Verdeen is so positive. His glass is always half full. Mine is always half empty. Our enrollments for spring are not doing as well as one would hope. And what I would say is that the state, up and down the state, community college enrollments have been dropping over the last year, year and a half. And we have basically stayed ahead of that curve, and it has now hit us. And so there's multiple factors that come to play with that, and you know, so we could do a lot of guessing, but you know, the economy's good, there are jobs out there, things of that nature, and historically fewer students come to community colleges when there are jobs and not the same need to retrain or be unemployed and thus go to school. So I think that's a big one. And so, but I'm not going to try to guess at this point. We'll be looking more at it, the deans and enrollment management committee, to see what we need to be doing in the years to come, next year specifically. To give you an idea of the numbers, on the first day of class, we were at 90.2% fill. As of this morning, we're at 90.89. We actually regained between the first day and today. We regained all of the students that were dropped because they did not meet their prerequisites. So there were about 330 students that were dropped. because of that factor, and we've had about 350 to 360 students that have enrolled. Are they the same? I think Dr. Lebo is going to talk a little bit about the efforts that Student Services has had to help assist those students get back into a class after they were dropped because they didn't meet prerequisites. When we compare our numbers to last spring, on the first day, we were down 1729 enrollments compared to the first day of spring. But we are also seeing what historically seems to be the trend at PCC, is that our numbers drop after the first day. So as of this morning, we were actually 2740 enrollments less than the same time last spring. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what does that mean from FTES, but the best guess estimate in regard to FTES is that one enrollment earns approximately 0.1 FTES. So a drop, 274 students would be about 274 FTES. And so likewise, we're seeing similar decrease in enrollment in our non-credit offerings as compared to last spring. As of this morning, the difference in enrollments in non-credit is 575, and likewise, that's about 0.1 FTS per enrollment, although that number is a little bit harder to predict because all non-credit classes are positive attendance, and so it's a little bit more difficult. With non-credit also, there actually has been an increase in enrollments between the first day. Students don't register in the same pattern for non-credit classes as they do for credit classes, so it's a little bit more difficult to predict. Size-wise actually too, and it has to do obviously with our enrollments, but as of this morning, we have 2,597 credit sections and 260 non-credit sections. That's 4 less than last spring in credit and 11 less than last spring in non-credit. What does that mean in regard to FTES? These are estimates. The good news is that for summer 17, we generated a little over 30 FTS more than we did compared to summer 16. Fall 17, the numbers are pretty close to all being in. Positive attendance numbers are still coming in, but most of them are in now. And so fall 17 has actually generated 47 more FTS than fall 16. And then winter generated about 100, a little over 100, so 106 FTS more than winter 17. So that's all good. At this point, the estimate based on the reduction in enrollment in both credit and non-credit, I am estimating that spring will generate about 330 FTS less than spring 17. And so the net of all of that is that we're down about 140 to 150 FTS for the year as compared to where we were last year. So what does that mean? What that means is for us to reach base, we will need an additional 911 FTES from summer. For us to reach our base plus growth, we will need an additional 1,130 FTES from summer. Last summer, we pulled 742 FTS. So, and had, besides the 740 that we pulled, summer also generated an additional 1,420 FTS. And so if we have a similar summer, which is probably not a good assumption because spring enrollments suggests we won't, but if we had a similar summer, then pulling 1,100, definitely pulling 900 will not be difficult. And so I'm confident we can get the 900, we will reach base. How much growth we'll actually be able to achieve, we'll have to see how summer goes. Dr. Storti, Dr. Verdian, and I have discussed that, and it's likely that we won't go after the entire amount of growth that the state has made available to us, because that will then that growth, whatever we go after, will be added to our base.
And next year you'll be pursuing
and-
more, you'll need
right,
more
and
next
it
year.
will thus put us into a deeper hole
Yeah.
next year when our enrollment trends are
Uh-huh.
dropping, and so it
Right.
probably wouldn't be wise for us
No.
to go after much of that, those growth dollars. So, if there are any questions about that,
Is going after growth dollars optional? If you
Yes.
do reach
It's
the numbers,
optional.
you don't
You
have
don't
to.
have to.
you,
No.
right, if you don't reach base, you go into
Right,
stability.
right.
And there could be consequences.
But you don't have to
depending
go
on whether
after
they get
growth.
that.
You
But
don't
growth,
have
you
to.
don't have to.
You don't
And
have
you can also, so you can go after none of the growth, you can go after a portion of the growth, and then you will add that
That
to
will
your
add to your
base, and
base.
you'll get those extra dollars.
Right.
And so part of what we'll have to see is how does spring play out through the whole semester. I mean, we're 3 days in. Deans have been adding, they've been canceling classes obviously for low enrollment, but they've also been adding classes and converting some of the sections to LGIs, because there are demands for some of the classes that are not being met. And so it's still, we're still kind of in that game of shifting things around, and so we'll see where we're at when we come to census. And then once we come to census, we'll have a better idea of really what we're gonna need from summer. And then we'll start
Right.
thinking more seriously about whether we're gonna go after any of the growth or a portion of the growth at that point. as
See,
we're
when
doing
you
the
think
summer.
about going after growth, it is important that you look at the environment. You need to look at what is happening in all the districts around you. You need to look at the enrollment in the K-12 system, right? Then you make the decision as to whether you will go after growth or not. If you see that your feeder base is going down, and the districts around you are going down, now, if you decide to capture growth, you are making a leap of faith, because there is nothing out there to bring students for you. You are just hoping that the students will come to you based on your name, not realizing that perhaps they might decide not to, because all those other schools around you are going down. So you may say, well, okay, I'm going to get more money, let me take them because I want the money. And then then the following year, you can't reach that number. And then you say, well, what's happening? So it's important that it reaches a point where you have to stop and say, no, we'll cap it at this, and we'll make sure that we follow that, we keep it there, we monitor what's happening around us, and then if we see this environment changing favorably, we can slowly open the doors to take more and grow.
Terry, just for my information, where do we stand with this enrollment in spring relative to that magic number that would have represented the maximum number that we could sustain in terms of facilities and opportunities?
I'm not
Wasn't
sure
there a maximum cap?
that we could have
Yeah.
for spring.
Yeah, well, no, for any, for any
Oh,
given
oh,
year.
well, really, so I think what you're asking, tell me if I'm
Yeah.
wrong, is that PCC has over the years been growing. And so we've gone after growth, and we've done a good job of capturing that growth.
Right,
At some point, the district needs to talk about how big can we get,
Right.
since our facilities are limited. And so I think
Yeah.
that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
And so we believe that max is 24.2 FTES.
That's it.
And so if we reach base this year, we will be at 23.988, so 12 short of 2,400.
As far as numbers, unduplicated headcount is concerned, at some point in time, this institution served close to 35,000 students. But those 35,000 unduplicated were not taking as many units as the 29,000 we have right now are taking. Right? And we can serve 50,000 unduplicated perhaps, if they're taking one class only. Yeah.
And so if we were to achieve all of the growth that the state has offered us for this year, we would be at 24,200.
Mhm.
And so if we did that, we probably would stop pursuing
Yes.
growth until we actually add facilities to
Correct.
the campus.
Terry, what did the wait lists look like on the first day?
The wait list, shoot, I brought.
On
I-
Tuesday, it was 6,872.
And it's down to.
4,240.
So
think it's
that's
still-
4,000 students who want classes that were not.
Not necessarily
Well,
so.
yeah, so there, that is, so there are that many students on a wait list. Not 100% of the students on a wait list actually will take a class
Right.
if you offer it to them. I mean, there's a little bit of fishing that's going on. In
Right.
some cases, they would take that section if a spot opened up because they want that day,
Yeah.
that time, that
And that
teacher.
teacher.
And so if you open another, so if we opened a sufficient number of sections to serve those 4,000 students, they wouldn't all fill. And
Now,
so-
those are
so you-
seats, those are 4,400 seats. What I've found out over the years is that you need at least 3.5 seats on a wait list to get one
To
seat.
get one seat.
3.5 seats on a wait list to get one seat. So if you just go by that, you say, oh my God, I could better add, what, the 4,000 you have there, you say, I better add 150 sections, you'll be sorry.
Mhm.
Alright.
And just, I mean, in looking at those numbers, so on the first day, the wait list peaked at 6,870. And as Cynthia, Dr. Olivo said, we're at 4,240 as of this morning. And so that's 2,400 students. Our enrollments did not increase by 2,400 students. Over that same time period, our enrollments actually only increased by about 50 students. And so, so the factor that I'm not showing here, because our report shows us our wait list, our report shows us our enrollment numbers. What it doesn't show us is that, you know, so this morning there was an additional 202 enrollments. What I don't know is how many students actually enrolled and how many students dropped. And so 202 means it's positive, so there were 202 more students that enrolled than the number that dropped. IT can provide us that information, but it's more difficult and to pull that every day. That is something that we've looked at because, as I said, historically here at PCC, we normally peak on day one and then we start downward. You know, we haven't.
Ms. Kotaras.
A question about, I have an online 1A section and our 1As don't have wait lists anymore. And so I stopped at 10 for my wait list for my online section. So I would say I received about 20 students just for my one. I know we have some late starts coming up and things like that, but I don't think those are online. So I'm just wondering, that's a high demand class. And we're not tracking even the people who want those sections.
How come we don't have a wait list for 1A? No, that's something
Anymore?
that
We
your
used
dean,
to.
you may
I
need.
don't know the history
Yeah, that's
of
maybe
that,
something you may
why
have to
we
work with your
stopped
dean and find out why,
having
and the
this.
dean may work with the VP on that.
I don't remember why it happened.
Well, maybe Dr. Junie next time could give us an example of what are those classes that don't have wait lists, and if there's a reason why some classes have wait lists and others don't. Okay, could you provide us with that information, Dr. Junie, at the next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, Mr. Whitworth.
What impact do the online classes have on all of this? As
On
far as
enrollment?
offerings and,
Well, so I mean, if you compare the enrollment trends in online versus face-to-face, onlines usually fill faster than face-to-face. So one way of dealing with enrollment issues is offering more online
Yeah,
because it appears you can attract more students.
completion rates or whatever.
The problem is the success rate in online classes
Much
is
less.
much less
Yes.
than in face-to-face. Now, I'm not saying every class, I mean,
No.
some faculty are quite capable of having success rates in their online courses that are comparable to their success rates in their face-to-face.
Well, now, given the new funding formula, maybe we may have to reconsider that. We may have to take a good look at the completion rate
Right.
of online classes
Right.
before we add them, because they could negatively
Right.
impact our funding.
And I wonder too how that shifted over the years, if we've had a steady increase in completion, I don't know. Because I know
In
part of the
online.
concern, I've been here on campus for 11 years and I was part of the first group who was interested in online, and part of the issue was students didn't understand what it meant to be an online student.
Mhm.
And we were talking about educating them in online before we even got to
Well-
content. Now they have that. A lot of them are taking online classes.
Right.
But also there was Mark and I were on that committee together where we were talking a lot about the DE Academic Senate Committee, where we were talking about creating a 3-day training for students who are interested in online but don't understand what's required. And so part of what we need then is support in DE, which we haven't had, or it hasn't necessarily existed, or there's been a lot of transition, and so that's something that needs to be addressed too.
Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask Ms. Colrose to provide us at the next
Oh.
meeting.
It's actually in observations.
It's observations already.
Mhm.
Okay, so
The
we can
difference between
track that
online
in
and face-to-face.
observation. Maybe we can also ask to track by subject matter too.
Mm-hmm.
How many enrollments we have in DE and what is the successful completion rate of that? You know, how
And how
many?
it's changed over the years.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. But we look at it. No, we will
Yes.
study a longitudinal study. That's what I'm asking for. A longitudinal study, maybe 10 years or whatever. I mean, we'll take a look at that. Yeah, I guess.
It's an interesting question. I don't
Yeah.
know what the answer
So
is.
we'll yeah.
What?
Maybe 6.
I think also with the online, it's interesting
We have
because
5.
I know the way we work ours in speech
Mhm.
is you can start them anytime. And we have lots of late start
Mhm.
online classes that are already full, and they don't even start until April.
Right.
You know, I have 2 and they're completely full.
No, there was also, but there's also another thing with not only with the retention and successful completion, the also funding for online is different. Dr. Judy, you make less money,
We make 11% less.
11% less on an online
for
class.
Online class
Right.
as compared to face-to-face.
Right. So we may
You
have
make that
to
up with
take 11% more students for online classes.
And the rationale for that being?
It's a funding formula.
The funding formula.
So,
Yeah.
so it is the funding formula, but it's the consequences of being a 16-week
Right.
semester instead of the
Mhm.
17 and a half or 18.
Mhm.
Yes, and so.
So,
The funding formula for online uses the number of units as opposed to the number of hours, where for face-to-face it uses the number of hours.
right.
And the multiplier for units is the term length
length.
multiplier, which in a non-condensed calendar would be 18, with a condensed calendar it's 16, and so.
Right.
And then if you have a later, it's even less? Is that-
No,
is that- it just
no,
counts
no,
because
it-
you're-
it-
because-
it-
oh, 'cause you're compressing, all right, I
Right,
answered
yeah,
in my head.
yeah, so if you offer an 8-week online during the summer, you use the same formula you use for your 16.
Right,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
it.
okay.
Yeah, okay.
Which is actually.
All right, Dr. Olive was too.
No,
I'm sorry.
I have two other things.
Uh-huh.
First of all, Dr. Verdian was filling you all in some hiring that's going on. I wanted to do the same for instruction. So at the board meeting tonight, Stephanie Fleming's name will be submitted to the board as the new Dean of Instructional Support. And so we expect that the board will approve that. And we're very excited to have her with us in instruction/academic
Instruction will be
affairs.
able to do much more now that you
We'll
have
be able
another
to get
dean,
so
right?
much done,
Okay.
that's right. And there will be probably today or tomorrow, 2 other dean positions that will be opening. One in performing and communication arts, following the announcement of Jim Arnwine's retirement. He's retiring on June 30th of this year. And then also in natural sciences, with Dr. Douglas is retreating to faculty for next year.
But then he's retiring in December.
And then he has not yet given us that letter,
Right.
but he has communicated that he plans to retire at the end of
On December 31st.
Right.
That's why, I mean, the letter's not here yet.
Right,
But he's stepping down as dean as he's here. We have that letter.
yes. And so then one other thing I wanted to give you information on is that there is a proposed change to Title V, Section 55070, which deals with credit certificates. And this change actually has had a first read at the Board of Governors and will go to the March Board of Governors meeting for final approval. And what this does is, in a nutshell, is it changes the unit value for certificates of achievement that require approval at the Chancellor's office. And so currently, an 18 unit or higher certificate of achievement must have Chancellor's office approval. And if a certificate is 12 units to 17 and a half, it's optional for colleges to get approval. The reason why a college might choose to get approval is then, once it is approved, it is transcriptable, where a 12-unit certificate that is not Chancellor's Office approved, basically we give the student a piece of paper, but their transcript does not show that they've actually earned that. And so what the Chancellor's Office is looking at, and this really came from the 5C, which is the California Community College Curriculum Committee, is they're looking at the fact that state regulations in Title V don't align with federal financial aid regulations, and so it makes more sense for students that we align them. And so what this change to Section 55070 will do is change the 18 to 16. So basically, all certificates that are 16 units or above will require Chancellor's Office approval, and also change the 12 unit to 8 units. There still will be optional that if it's between 8 and 15 and a half, whether you get it approved or not. But it's to the advantage of students to submit that so that it is transcriptable. And both of those changes are to better align the size of our certificates with federal financial aid regulations. And I have a whole lot more information, so if people are interested in getting that, I can send you the text of the change. It's a 10-page document. So.
And these are pending yet, or they've been?
They're going to the Board of Governors March meeting for final approval. I would imagine, although the Chancellor's Office hasn't said it, but it will probably take effect in the summer or fall at the latest. And so there's a lot of work, obviously, that C&I will need to be doing, and faculty within the various departments, because we will need to change basically the way we are looking at our certificates, and we will be needing to, right off the bat, we have a number of certificates that are between 16 and 18 that have not yet been submitted for approval, and they will require submission for approval.
Yes.
So I will keep, obviously, faculty and C&I apprised of that as this moves forward.
Dr. Juni, thank you very much. Dr. Olivo.
Well, we started out spring in a very good way. We awarded 6,774 students with federal and state financial aid. That's 150 more students than the same time last year. And that's around close to $7 million was distributed to our students. And as Dr. Juni mentioned, because we had to go in and drop students who did not meet prerequisites for their winter course, and that totaled around 330 students. We sent text messages to all students on waitlist to remind them about the waitlist procedure. So they would know they have to check their Lancer Point email account, and then wait for an invitation and use that invitation within 48 hours. A lot of students forget that that's the process, so we wanted to make sure that we did not lose students from those seats and then not fill those with students who are waiting to get those seats. In addition, to help the 330 students that we had to drop, we sent them emails to ask them to come in and see a counselor or contact the online counselor so they can get support in selecting another course or repeating the course if they were eligible. On the first day in general counseling and counseling across campus, we did have counselors in around 7 different locations. We served 513 students on the first day. And we're trying to keep track so that we can report out to the campus what else our students need in regard to support. I do want to bring your attention, any faculty member, if you could please look at the information that Alex Buckelheid included in Inside PCC regarding early alert. With now us moving to performance-based funding, we all need to pull together to help retain our students in courses and complete our students. So if faculty can help us by participating in early alert, then we can respond to the students' needs as you see them in your classes. We're offering training this semester. It's really easy to use, but we really do need faculty to come in and get trained to use the system. We are celebrating Black History Month. I know during winter not everyone was here, but we've been, hosting an assortment of events. Today, for example, at noon, there is a basketball game between students and employees of the college. That's always fun to watch the employees not do very well.
My understanding is the employees always win.
Students let 'em.
And it'll culminate, Friday, our Black History Month, will culminate with going to watch the movie Black Panther with students in our Ujima program. And I'll be joining, so it'll be fun, even though I've already seen the movie, it's terrific.
Do you know what Black
Recommend.
Panther character you are? Well, I won't tell
I have
you who
to
I am. You can go online and find out which Black Panther character you are.
I'm afraid.
I am Kill, I can't think of the name, I start with Kill.
Yeah, that's about right.
I'm also working with a group to look at our completion efforts, since now we are moving to performance-based funding. We really have to focus as a campus to see how we can support our students through completion. For example, last year we had 1,763 students request a graduation review of their record. And so every year that number increases. We've made it such a simple process. It's all electronic. And students do not have to come in person. We make it seamless for the students. But one thing that other colleges are doing is auto awarding of degrees. So we finally have the technology in place. We're just going to start doing simulations of our own to see where we land, and then working with students to get feedback as we design a process that might include that. I'm also working with Dr. Junie because our CTE certificate awarding at this time is disjointed. For a student to get their CTE certificate, they have to go to the division office where their certificate is housed. Imagine a student trying to find one of 13 different offices for our 72 CTE certificate programs. Right, that, if we want to increase completions in CTE, we need to make that process seamless for our students. So we're gonna be working on that, and I would appreciate everyone's support. Saying the word change is hard for everyone to deal with, but we do need to change that process for our students. So expect for more information on that to be coming forward. We also have the LA County Food Bank here, and just so you know, the LA County Food Bank, they bring with them, a diesel full of food, and they leave and it's completely empty. Because our students have a need. So I would encourage all of you to please let your students know. They're here all day today. And our food pantry, we have updated our website with the spring hours. We're also hiring our social work services professional expert and an adjunct psychologist because of the increase of our students obtaining psychological counseling, and also just referrals from faculty regarding students who are homeless, who are experiencing domestic abuse, and who have a need for you as faculty to help us respond to those needs. And then we're preparing for March. It is the 50th anniversary of the walkouts in East LA. One of my mentors, Sal Castro, actually empowered the students to walk out basically to protest the poor conditions of education that existed in East LA. And so we're working on creating an event to commemorate the walkouts. And that is the end of my report.
All right, but thank you very much. Next item is the standing committee report. Do we have one today?
No report?
All right, the road meet sub change.
That's me.
All right.
I just wanted to bring this to everyone's attention that Lenora Rogas and I are working on the Rosemead sub-change submission. We are
Let
submitting.
them
it-
know what sub means.
I'm going to. It
All
means it's been a substantive change in a program or condition. And that, for us at Rosemead, is that a student can now earn 50% or more of a degree on the Rosemead campus. So we have to submit to ACCJC a sub-change proposal outlining that and the services that we offer there. This type of sub-change will probably trigger a site visit, so they will send someone out to look at Rosemead to make sure that we are offering all the appropriate support services in addition to the coursework at Rosemead. Hi.
Hi, this may be off topic, but it's come to my attention from several of the international students that the Rosemead site is not CIVIS approved.
Is
So
the
interna-
what?
It's not
CIVIS.
approved by CIVIS, the federal agency that awards accreditation basically for international students
Who
to
told
take
them that?
courses.
The institution is approved. Once the institution is approved, all our satellite areas are approved. There is no
Let's look
such
at
thing
that
as,
Okay, will you check with Armando?
yeah, we check with Armando on that
I know
because
that they cannot be enrolled in a satellite campus.
they can be, it's not a satellite campus.
We don't allow
This
them
is
to.
different. This is
So-
different. What you're talking about is institutions that have satellite campuses. We don't have a satellite campus. We just have a building there. This is Pasadena City College that has a building there. Our approved satellite campuses with CEC. That's the only approved campus we have. So whoever told the students that was not clear in making that differentiation. A satellite campus is it receives a specific status by the state and receives a special funding by the state for that. This is not a satellite campus. This is just a building of the college where we offer classes. So the students need to know that. We can send, international students can take classes there as well. Okay. Now,
It may have been the way that our current manager has expressed the information to the CBIS officials.
right, so that has to be corrected because Rosemead is not a separate campus. We don't have a Rosemead campus. We have a building in Rosemead, just as we have a building by the swimming pool, just as we have a building by the library. Those are just buildings of the Pasadena City College. To be called a campus, you have to receive a special status by the state, and that comes with an additional funding of how much it is now, Junie? $400,000?
Yeah, I believe so.
$400,000 funding and stuff like that. That's what a campus is. All right. Otherwise, we don't have a We don't have a campus in Rosemead. We just use the term campus loosely. All right. So, I mean, I think you have to work with. You have to.
We shouldn't call
No,
it
we
Rosemead.
should no.
It's a
No, no.
center.
It's a, yeah. So maybe Dr. Oliver work with your director there so that that gets corrected if that was made. Rosemead is not a campus. All right.
I think that'll be really good because even on our website though it does say Rosemead Campus.
Oh, that's an easy thing. I mean, we can do it search and replace and just just put Rosemead there. That's it. That's the name of the building, Rosemead. All right. So because we use words that have very specific meaning to the state and to the federal government. So I'm glad you brought that up. So we will correct it, and Dr. Oliver will work with Ms. Yang to make sure that that gets
Armando,
corrected.
I work with
With
Armando.
Armando,
He
yes.
supervises it.
Right. Armando is the dean that oversees that so that we can get that corrected. Right. All right, so that's
That's it. I just
Okay,
wanna
well,
let
thank
people know
you.
it's coming.
All right. All items, discussion and possible action. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we'll bring that topic back. AB 7250, administrator hiring procedure, information only. We did review that last time, right? And we had some serious concerns coming from faculty, classified staff, management, everybody had concern. All right? And I told you that I would listen to everything and would make the appropriate changes to what was proposed. So if you take a look at it, we're bringing back what was in the December packet. Is that correct, Ms. Goldrose?
These are the changes that you asked for.
Right, okay. So take a look at it. So there'll be three administrators appointed by the superintendent president or designee. 2 faculty appointed by the academic senate. Is that what, did we say 2 faculty?
Yes.
Okay. 2 classified staff appointed by the classified senate, all right? Then, what I've added there is the superintendent president or designee may appoint 1 additional faculty or staff member to the committee as needed. And at the discretion of the superintendent president, 1 community member may be appointed. We'll remove board of trustees in that. And as we go down, is there something else at the bottom there?
No, that's
Right? Yes, sir.
But if I may, again, one of the biggest differences is we met with Dr. Brady, and on the January meeting that we had, you'll notice the biggest difference is that it went from 2 to 4 managers, and we did bring that down from 2 to 3. And we kept the classified as is, which was at 2. But yes, we did decide to bring it from 3 to 2 faculty to keep it consistent with, as far as the outside representatives from managers.
Mark.
But now it appears to me that you've removed another faculty or classified person
No.
under E. Sure, we used to have a faculty
No,
FA appointed.
It was the same thing.
It was the same
either
thing.
or. No, that didn't change.
That didn't
If you-
change.
If you read it, it's pretty much worded the same way as far as bargaining unit. That maybe it was never. It was actually more of the again comprised the
Well,
majority
in
of
the-
those reporting.
In the policy that's on the district website right now.
The procedures, yes.
Okay, it
Yeah.
says, 1 staff member appointed by the collective bargaining unit whose members compose the majority of those reporting to the proposed position.
Right.
That's been removed.
It's it's still there.
Crossed out.
It's worded differently.
Yeah, but it's worded differently. The superintendent president or designee may appoint 1 additional faculty or staff
May-
member.
There's a big difference between may and having a
Well.
requirement.
What would you
that
like
that
it to read?
person
Let me
has
hear
to
what.
do.
Let me hear your suggestion.
We definitely want a voice.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, and I can't speak for the other 2 bargaining units on campus,
Yeah.
but I'm sure they want a voice.
Because it does omit us, of our say, of having a person by omitting that. When you take out, appointed by the collective bargaining unit.
Now, let me suggest. Not suggest. Let me just go over that part with you. Let me take the case of a dean, for example, right? Now, you will say that the more faculty report to that person, so therefore, the unit that will get to a point will be faculty, right? Okay. Let's take another example where that could be different.
But it can
Well,
also
is it
be,
Dean of counseling or dean of,
No, but dean of council.
but there's also, classified
Yes.
bargaining units, that are under that dean.
Substantial, especially in
Yeah, but it
counseling.
doesn't mean you get 2 there. You get only 1. Only 1 staff member. Only 1 is appointed. It's only 1. That's how it was written. There was only 1. It would be either faculty or staff. It didn't mean that you were getting 2 there. Look at it of what it says. It says 1 staff member appointed by the collective bargaining unit whose members compose the majority of those reporting to the vacant position. Faculty or classified staff. You were not getting 2.
Right, I'm
Alright.
just saying, I'm just arguing.
You were
the
still
point of
getting
having-
1. It's the superintendent president or designee.
But I think that most divisions, if it's an instructional division, then it's clearly gonna be a faculty person.
Yeah.
Right.
And if it's a non-instructional division,
Mhm.
it's probably
Correct.
not.
It would be still be the same.
Why would it still be the same?
But, I mean, the superintendent president may appoint 1 additional faculty or staff member to the committee as needed.
Yeah, but it
Yeah, but
sounds,
having may and
It sounds like
having
it's-
a
it's
requirement
omitting
are two
it.
different things.
Okay, so you want to say the superintendent president or designee will appoint.
yeah, because then that's a more
No, I
inclusive.
think, no, I don't think I want that either. I think
What do
I
you
want
want?
the original language, which
Yeah.
says, 1 staff member appointed by the collective bargaining unit whose members comprise the majority of those reporting to the proposed position.
Yeah.
Let me hear
My,
the
my
comment.
question, my first question with this would be, why are these changes necessary in the first place?
Well, I'll let my staff tell me a little bit about some of the very interesting situations they went through.
So
With some of the hiring.
The original way it was worded, it was possible for the administrators on the hiring committee to not have control of the forwarding of qualified candidates for the position.
We had two major cases
And in
the
my
past year.
Yeah, in my short time here, that has occurred.
Mhm.
2 times. And in one of them, we even ended up with,
Perhaps that was
with
necessary.
an investigation. And one of them ended up with an investigation.
I don't recall it.
Huh? You recall that one?
No, absolutely not.
You don't recall that
I
one?
have selective memory.
Oh, okay. You know,
Yes,
and it has happened not only once, it has happened on several occasions.
Okay.
You know,
My other question is that exactly what positions does this apply to?
this will apply to all the administrators.
Okay, well then we run into a problem that you're violating our contract.
Why are we violating?
Because there's a section in our contract, 2.4, that basically says that we shall have a position on hiring committees.
But you have positions on that. You have positions on that.
The FA does where?
2 faculty members.
Faculty.
Where does the FA have a
It
position?
Two
says
faculty.
academic.
Where does the
Academic
FA
Senate,
have a
and
position?
that's the same
So
thing.
you're
It says
arguing that
classified
those 2
Senate.
faculty members are
I'm
not part
arguing
of
that the
FA?
FA has an exclusive position.
Okay, that
According to our
no,
contract.
you are
Now, the
correct.
assistant
You are
deans-
correct.
Assistant deans and deans are exempt
Both
from
of
that.
you are correct.
But,
Both of you are correct. You have, if you look at the contract, at the faculty contract and at the classified contract, it exists in that language.
right,
But we can always make that happen. I mean, if the faculty senate and the classified senate work together with you, you have 2 faculty appointed by the academic senate in consultation with the union.
Yeah.
And we could do the same thing for the 2 classified staff appointed by the
why,
classified
why
senate.
would we want that? Why would,
Why
so again, we're losing a position. Right now, as it stands, we have
Okay,
2
what about
faculty and we have an FA.
what about if
appointment.
I say the superintendent president or designee will appoint 1 additional faculty or staff member to the committee as needed after consultation with the appropriate union?
So you're
Help
arguing,
me out,
Mark,
Gary.
you're
Yeah, no,
arguing that you
okay.
guys want like an executive committee member on there?
the way
or
it is-
that
No, it would be somebody who, I mean.
Any faculty member you guys choose?
Exactly,
I see.
right, yeah. So faculty senate would choose 2, we would choose 1, and then that's,
Well,
and I
of
think
course-
most of the time, our desires are going to align. But
We've had
still,
we've had 2 major problems like this past year.
right, but those 2 major problems, right, are not the result of this policy.
Well, this policy, the change in the policy may prevent something like that from happening.
Okay.
It may prevent something
Or
like
we
that.
could possibly actually do something to people that do things like that, as opposed to using a shotgun approach in trying to solve problems. That's always a possibility.
Well, what's your process for choosing the faculty member that goes on these? Like, do you send, because you don't send like a call out to all faculty? Do you just discuss it
Sometimes we
amongst?
do, yes, it depends. I mean, if we don't have an appropriate, well, I shouldn't say appropriate. If we don't have a board member that would be, I'll say appropriate, then we would say, give it to whoever, maybe somebody from that division or whatever.
So most of the time it's your board members that serve.
No, like Roger served this last time, he's not a board member. He did a couple. He did English because he's from English.
Right.
So, I mean, if we had somebody that we had nobody that knew anything about that division, then we would give it back to the division.
Can I speak now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, the only problem I have with this is it's okay with the way it is where it says the Senate makes the appointment, but in our contract, I mean, in our hiring policy for classified employees, it's worded that the bargaining unit provides 2 names or recommendations to the Senate, and then the Senate choose from there. Where this here, the Senate could say, well, just I'll make the choice. And it's not that the union don't trust the Senate in doing that, but that's the way this
We
is.
can make that correction to that.
In
We can make that, I mean, two
No,
classified
it
staff.
doesn't even say consultation, it
No, no,
says
say,
that the
I'm
union.
saying they can be edited to include that.
We can make that, if you
So
tell me that
that's
your-
the, that's the
contract
issue
says
only
that.
I have, is that that's eliminated.
The contract says that
The hiring policy for any classified positions,
Yeah.
it clearly states that the bargaining unit is to provide the classified senate with appropriate number of names.
But like what you said, you said it's the hiring committee for classified.
Right, and so, agreeing with Mark, this eliminates classified.
But this is
totally.
not for classified
No, it
staff,
doesn't.
this is for administrators.
No, I know, but this eliminates the union from having input on that particular position, because, for example, in counseling,
Mm.
a lot of the union members are in that area, and so they don't have a voice.
In counseling, there's only one administrator, the dean, just as in instruction.
Well, any other area that has more than one classified employee under our unit will not have a voice.
No, when, give me an example.
Well, I can't think of any other departments on campus that's non-instructional,
Hmm.
but there are some.
But in the non-instructional, you will have a voice,
Yeah.
just like you've always had. And in instructional,
Well, the-
faculty will have that voice.
I have personally ran into a situation
Hmm.
where this occurred in the bargaining unit, and
Hmm.
we're the majority unit,
Yes,
had no input on it.
but so then that was violated then, and the policy was violated.
Because it's
The
true, it
procedure-
just says that the Senate makes it, that's it. And I'm a Graciela's heart, she comes to me and asks me, but
Mm.
she's not required to based on this.
But that's how it was.
Yeah, but if we get a different president that's not that way, then.
No, hold on. Let's not
I'm
go
not
back to.
Senate.
If you just go back to how it was written.
Oh,
How it was written before. One staff member appointed by the collective bargaining unit whose members compose the majority of those reporting to the vacant position. Now you are telling me that didn't happen.
no, that did happen.
It happened.
But the way you have it now, it
Yeah.
won't.
Uh,
So
Right.
if that bottom, if E is there, it's fine, but if you leave D in there, the D, we have no input, but my only input is E.
Is
So if
E.
you eliminate E.
Now you will only have that input if it is a position where the majority of
Correct.
the
And,
employees reporting to that person are classified.
yeah, correct, and our unit is bigger, the only other unit is campus police and facilities, so
Yeah.
anyone else would come under our unit. If you,
Okay.
and if you remove.
So what you're
E-
saying is that if there will be a classified staff there, you want to be the one.
At least continue the way we have been doing is, what I would do is give recommendations to the Senate, and then they make the ultimate decision.
Why don't, you already have two there that are being appointed by the Senate now. And the third one may or may not be yours.
Go
But I
ahead.
will say for a non-instructional area, for an
Mm.
administrator, the two people that may be appointed by classified senate may not be a union covered by a bargaining
Mm.
unit.
That's possible.
So
What do you mean?
they may not have elected to be part of the union.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
And so by keeping E or rewording E,
Mm,
that would allow the bargaining
Mm.
unit, which is probably the
Okay.
dominant
Right.
union in that area, to have a voice.
Dr. Oliver.
How about for D, we propose to say 2 classified staff appointed by the classified senate, and, modify a portion of the language from E to go with D, with at least one
That's-
coming
Would
from
that
a
help you?
collective, with
That
at
that
least
would,
one
but better
coming
than
from.
omitting it, yes.
So
With at least
D will say
one.
2 classified staff appointed by the classified Senate
With at least one.
in consultation with the Senate,
in
with the
either-
union.
With the
In
bargain.
consultation with the collective bargaining
Bargaining.
unit.
With the
whose
collective
members
bargaining unit.
comprise the
Right,
majority of
okay.
those.
And
Yeah.
will faculty Senate be okay with if we put that also there with the academic Senate? Would you be okay with that?
Adding
That's
that
how it
word.
is.
Huh?
So it would be 2 faculty appointed by the academic senate,
In
With at
consultation with?
least- yes.
With the faculty association.
Well, I mean,
But, you know,
but our situation is not the same as
not.
classified, because all of our members, we have to join the union.
No,
Yeah.
you don't.
Yeah, we get, you take money from our
Yeah, but that's
paychecks.
not joining.
Yeah, you don't have to
Right.
join the
Right.
union, but
So
the
we
money's
also-
taken.
You take money, but
Yeah.
then we have to.
You don't have
submit
to
an
join the union, but the
application.
money's
Right.
taken.
We're a member,
The
it's a
money,
totally
The money's
different-
taken.
Okay, but.
The money's
okay,
taken,
so,
yes.
yes, the
For-
money is
Totally
taken,
different.
we are
For-
a member.
for
So by
philanthropic
default, all
purposes, yeah.
faculty are FA.
So
No.
in
No.
consultation.
No,
You're not.
no,
So
you're
only-
making a
You're only
donation.
a member if you actually
Fill out
say you
the
were a
form.
member.
Yes,
Otherwise, you were just a fee payer.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, and that can, yeah, that can
Right.
change.
That's
But,
great.
but here's the.
but you can
bottom
request how
line
your
is-
money is spent if you don't join the union.
Yeah,
You can request how that money is spent.
Gotcha.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
you
Gracia.
$5 or.
Okay, it's my turn, Mark.
Gracia, come on.
So I'm in favor of changing the language. I think it's good that we collaborate and we work with our unions. However, I would prefer for it to say, with at least one of the appointees being in consultation with the union. And that way we
Yeah,
have
so
some
that's
visibility
traditionally
how it's
for
been.
All right,
percentage
okay,
and
with that,
participation.
okay, so we, okay, all right, how about
And
faculty?
I
would
think
like
that
that.
would.
No.
You like that? Okay, well,
At
well,
least
everybody's good.
That's-
Well, you
yeah.
know, the only problem is
Ah.
we're still losing one position.
But no, but the last one we said the superintendent president or designee, I'll remove that, but make it will appoint.
So it'll be
Why are you losing
three,
one?
it'll be three faculty with
Depending on the.
one of them in consultation
Yeah.
with the FA.
Yes.
But so you'll have to,
No.
yeah, because it's two
It's-
and then
it's
one.
two-
It's
well,
three
it's-
faculty.
Right, well, depending on the area, so again, the main thing is, let's say A as is, B as is, C as is, well, what the language is gonna be added, same thing with D,
Yeah,
whereas
if
E
it's
is gonna
an
be,
instructional
exactly.
area.
So
Well,
it
but
will
in
be-
that case, I'll keep the E, I'll keep E as it is, the superintendent president may appoint.
Do you wanna say may appoint one additional faculty or staff member to the committee?
As needed.
As needed, in
As needed.
consultation with the.
No, I don't want to put that in there,
You don't?
because if we go to three faculty appointed by the Senate, with at least one in consultation with the, you know what you said?
Yeah,
Then I'll keep I'll keep E as it is, the superintendent president or designee may appoint one additional faculty or staff member to the committee as needed.
Just in balance
So
the
you're
committee
now
again.
proposing to change C back to 3?
No,
No, that's two faculty appointed by the,
Well, you just said 3, so.
two
And that's-
faculty Senate appointed by the Senate with one of them in consultation with the union.
but then Mark's right,
We're
we're
still losing
losing
a
one.
position.
Because we would have a union and
The
then
pot-
two Senate, that's
Okay,
Two
three.
potential.
all right, okay, now, okay, let, something came to my mind right now. So I said, the superintendent president or designee may appoint one additional faculty or staff member or manager / administrator to the committee as needed.
That makes it optional.
That absolutely does nothing.
What do you mean that does not?
Well, I mean, it still has may, so it's at the complete discretion of whoever's in that position. And then it also
Okay.
means that you could actually appoint another administrator, and then it would be 4 administrators and only 2 faculty
Why
members.
would I do that?
Why?
Uh,
I can think of a couple of reasons.
Say them, I don't know.
This is, these
It's
administrative regulations are,
well, again, I don't think we're gonna have these type of discussions when it's a faculty hiring or when it's a classified hiring.
What Mark's saying.
let's take a look at faculty hiring.
Right.
Let's take a look at faculty hiring.
Okay.
Okay? The faculty hiring, you have all faculty in that except one administrator. And we don't even have classified staff in faculty hiring. All right? Take a look at the, let's be fair here and be objective. The composition of the faculty hiring committee. One administrator, and then everybody's faculty. I see Ms. Kodara is smiling there. All right, okay, and no classified staff in that hiring of a faculty. All right, we have 2 interviews. You go through first level and second level, and it's always the same thing. Okay. The faculty get to pick who they want to select, who they want to move forward. The administrator may oppose them entirely, may say, well, this person can't do the job. No. The 5 of us faculty will vote for this one person. Right? Why is it then, the question I ask all of you, think about it, you won't give me answer today. Think about it. Why is it that when you pick a faculty, it is okay for you to have 5-to-1 ratio of faculty and administrator to pick a faculty, but yet when administrators and managers want to pick their manager or their administrator, they can't even have a 50-50 representation on that committee? Think about it and give me an answer to that and tell me where the logic is. I'm asking you to give me an answer to that. Give me, where's the logic behind it? That when you pick a faculty, it's 5 faculty and 1 administrator. And why is it that when we pick a manager, we can have 50% of the representation of that committee? We're not asking for the same ratio of 5-to-1. We are asking a ratio of 1-to-1.
Well, I think you're comparing apples and oranges.
Why are we comparing apples
Because
to oranges?
the position that you're hiring here is a lot different than someone you're going to be just working with versus someone who's going to be supervising
What
you
makes
and
you
all
think-
of your colleagues.
What makes you think that this is the case? When I take a look at very often of what gets sent forward, I have admonished committees because of who they have sent forward, and they were upset with me for admonishing them. Because they pick the person they want to send forward because the 5 of them or the 4 of them have agreed beforehand that this is who we're going to round that person down because we have a majority on that committee. I've seen it. In my 2.5 years here, I've seen it. And not only once, not only twice, multiple times a year when I interview candidates. Yeah? And why is it then, why is that different? Because we also, managers also are looking for somebody that will work with them. And they don't even have a majority on that committee. They're asking for a 50-50. In that case, would the faculty be okay if we were to make changes to the faculty administrative procedures and increase the number of administrators there?
Of course not.
Of course not, yeah.
Faculty are never happy.
There you go. So, and we're not asking for a ratio of 5-to-1 here.
Right.
We're asking for a ratio of 50-50.
Well, I think the fundamental problem is you're taking away something that's been
Well,
established.
what if I'll let it go back to 3 faculty, but I'll increase the administrators by 1. Then you're not, no one is losing anything, but I'm increasing managers on that committee. It will still not be 50-50. Yes, Gary.
Can I put on the record, I am not opposing the number of people, I'm just standing for just having a voice on it.
Yeah.
So I agree with what you're saying, but I just wanted to be on record that I am
Yeah.
not saying that it should be equal amount. I
Yeah.
just wanna make sure that at least the voice is being heard by the
Yeah,
bargaining.
no, I
unit.
understand that, but I would not.
I second that.
You second that.
Okay.
So what does that
Let's work
mean?
with that.
So if,
That's a fundamental concern.
So make sure it has that.
So-
however you,
But Gary's saying he just wants a voice. You're saying you want the same number
Yeah.
that the policy
No,
has.
I'm not saying that.
You
I'm
just
saying
don't wanna
we
lose anything.
anybody.
Right.
and
Okay,
the
so
ones
all right,
that
all right.
lose
then.
us.
Okay, yes.
I
Tito.
think it needs to happen. One, it's already difficult enough to get members on the committee, but one thing I will, in consulting with Joe right now, is going back to the language again, of E, but still keeping A as it is right now, which is
Yeah.
committee chair appointed by the superintendent or designee,
Yeah.
keeping B as it is, which is
Yeah.
3 administrators,
Yeah.
keeping C as it is just 2 faculty appointed by academic senate, keeping D, and instead of E being the new way,
Mm.
is keeping it the way it was, which is 1 staff member appointed by the collective bargaining unit, whose members comprise the majority of those reporting the vacant position, either be again a faculty or a classified staff.
Mm.
So again, the FA still has their member, the union will still have their member,
Mm.
but I do think because as difficult as somebody who appoints managers to committees and has been working with classified and with academic senate, it's not easy to actually even make this. So again, increasing another faculty, increasing another manager, I frankly will not be in favor of that because it's hard enough getting enough committee members as it is right now.
Mhm.
So I think again, by keeping it all the A, B, C, and D as is and going back to the original E, I think that'll solve the problem to make sure that there is a union voice.
Okay, you okay with that?
Yes.
But so you're not going to complain that we're reducing number of faculty from 3 to 2?
He's still gonna complain, but it's gonna be.
I'm gonna complain about everything, but I'm not gonna complain as much.
Okay,
Good.
No, I
so,
mean, we want to make sure that we have a voice.
Uh-huh.
I think
Right.
if anybody should be complaining about reducing it to 2 faculty, it should be the academic senate, not the union.
okay.
They're the
Okay.
ones who are now losing a position.
Well, no, everything's still faculty.
Yes.
I mean, but we should be doing this collaboratively. This is why I asked, if you're putting your board member on every committee, I see that as a problem. But if you're broadcasting and making it available to any union member, then that's different. Because it's, you know, I'm not gonna go into it, but I mean,
The procedure doesn't change the fact that you, as the academic senate, are losing a position on a hiring committee. That procedure
agree.
the procedure doesn't make any difference.
But if we put, I would be happy if we have 3 faculty and then at least one of those is in consultation with you. And then that would be a compromise, where I don't feel like we would lose it, because we would still be talking to you about who that 3rd member would be, rather than you just making that decision with your executive board.
No, we're not gonna give up that decision.
Right.
So then, my motion is to keep.
So if we put 3 and then you increase it to 4 administrators.
You okay with that?
I mean, if that's
Okay,
not,
thank
I
you.
mean, that's, it,
I just wanna
I
say that,
thought that wasn't, I'm sorry.
no, I'm sorry, Tito is making a very, very keen observation,
Mhm.
and it's based on his own experience, of the real in-the-weeds challenge of trying to put these committees together. And I think that going back, as Tito has suggested, to that original language might be something that would work.
And I think we're fine with that.
But that 4 and 3 thing, again, it dismisses the central concern that he has.
Right.
And I think that, you know, we, as institutionally, we're always kind of slowing ourselves against the current. And I just think it's silly.
I think that what Tito proposed is fine.
Okay, okay, Graciela?
Are you okay?
I also want to make a comment and just agree with what Tito, Joe, and what Mark just agreed with as well, and say that the original language does work. I will be honest with you, when I am just putting my HR hat on for a moment, as Tito said, it is very difficult to get representation to fill these committees. Sometimes even the individuals that are moved forward, they cannot serve. I can let you know that for classified managers, which do fall under this administrative policy, most of the time we don't have faculty representation on them, because sometimes those hires take place during summer, they take place during winter, and then it's off contract, and then we have to talk about if we're gonna be
Mhm.
compensating faculty. So, you know, as we mentioned, the original language for E does work, because at times we don't even get our full committee that moves forward in hiring this administrator.
So we all seem to agree on that. Now, let's go back to the numbers now. Are we okay with the way it is right now? We'll go back to the original language for E. Is that, let's see if everybody's okay with that.
Yes.
Yes,
So everybody's okay with the original language for E.
yes,
Now, let's go back to B now.
yes.
I'm okay.
Everybody's okay with 3 administrators. All right? Let's go with C. Is everybody okay with 2 faculty?
No.
well, I'll let my other executive committee members weigh in. I'm
All
not
right.
gonna be the only one to talk about this.
As the person who's responsible for recruiting faculty to
Mm.
serve on these committees, it has been nearly impossible.
But it won't be for academic deans, right?
Right, it's not for
That's, I
academic
mean,
deans,
this
and
is what
covers all.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, you're
Yeah.
not gonna have a paucity of faculty who want to serve on,
Okay.
what?
I prefer more faculty voice. We're the ones who are gonna be impacted by, I agree with Mark, we're the ones who are impacted day to day. And I think we need a strong voice.
Okay.
Can I make a
So
suggestion?
3.
Crystal?
You can keep E as is and make the revised E an additional statement, giving you the opportunity to appoint another faculty or staff member to the committee as needed. So if it's an academic dean, you could appoint another faculty member.
So it'd be H.
And then
Okay,
it's-
I don't think that number 3 is going to be easy. What I will do, all right? Now, this is my final thing, because,
It is an information item.
right. Huh?
Because it is an
Yeah, but it is an information item, but at the same time, we need to think of the institution as a whole too.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's called shared governance.
We need to think of the institution as
That's
a
why
whole,
we're sitting
all
here
right?
sharing.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to make something that probably will not make anybody happy, but this one I'm going to go for. We will go back to 3 faculty, okay? So that no one say that we've reduced the number of faculty, okay? But I will add an additional thing there. The superintendent, okay, will keep the language as it was. 1 staff member appointed by the collective bargaining unit, whose members comprise the majority of, I'll keep that exactly as it is. But I will add an H there. The superintendent, president, or designee may appoint at his or her discretion 1 additional manager / administrator to the committee. Because I'm not going to please anybody otherwise. I'm not going to please anyone. All right? You will all be upset. So keep it exactly as it is. Your number C, get back to 3 faculty. But there's an H there now that says the superintendent, president, or designee may appoint 1 additional manager / administrator at his or her what's that called? Discretion. All right? Is that okay?
Agreeable.
Yes, sir.
So I just want to make one comment
Yes.
that no, you did not make everyone happy, because I believe the problem with this policy still exists, leaving the number of faculty the same as it is right
Yeah,
now.
but there'll be 1 more administrator on that
But the
committee.
problem will still exist.
And regardless of what, I mean, we have to look at the institution as a whole. We need to look at the harmony of the institution, okay? We can't please 1 group and then make 3 other groups unhappy,
Well,
okay?
and I think if it's obvious that faculty have banded together to choose their person, if it's that obvious, that's illegal.
We
right?
can always
I mean,
say,
you can't, I mean,
Yeah.
people cannot do that, it's unethical.
I think
And
that's
so
the
there's got to
problem.
be
Deal with the
like,
problem.
right, there's gotta be
Right.
somehow to deal with that problem if it arises.
we did deal with the problem on 2 occasions.
Good.
We dealt with the problem on 2
Because that's
occasions.
wrong.
After that.
And the other thing also is that,
First, that's the main push for
the other thing also is that, I mean, the administrators on the committee always have a direct line to the college president. They can always tell the president that they are unhappy with the way that committee is moving forward, and the president has the authority, based on policy, based on regulation, the president has the authority to shut down the process and restart.
Well, and then faculty should know that that's the consequence of doing that, so that the
Mhm.
division or whoever like forwards names to the
Right.
Senate can like know that.
So we'll make sure that the, go ahead, and then I'll
Well, I
continue.
was gonna say, even if that does happen, keep in mind that this is administrator hiring policy, so there is a mandatory 2nd level interview that occurs. So the 2nd level interview is typically with the college president, so it's usually addressed at that time.
Yeah, it's just wrong though, it
I
shouldn't
agree with
happen.
you, it
It
is.
should not happen. I mean, like I said, I mean,
Yeah.
the managers on the committee they've always had a direct line to the college president. They can always let the president know that what is going on there is unacceptable. And the president can take a look at it and say, well, I'm shutting down the process.
Okay.
We'll start all over.
To recapitulate, and exactly where do we stand?
Okay,
on
where
that
do we stand
forward?
here? A is exactly as it is. B, exactly as it is, 3 administrators. C, 3 faculty, okay,
by the Senate.
by the Senate.
Mhm.
D, exactly as it is. E, the original language. F, as exactly as it is, right? G, the language as it is right now, amended, corrected. And H, the superintendent president or designee may appoint 1 additional manager / administrator at his or her discretion. Hmm? So it's more or less slightly more managers on that committee than we had before.
So just to point this out, I mean, that we still find ourselves in the technical morass of, making these assignments.
Well, I mean, I would not go in any technical morass of making assignments. I mean, now you can put as many people as you want on a committee, and I mean, we can put members on that committee.
Good.
And at least now we've got at least 1 group that is not too happy, but that's okay. All right, that's okay. But at least we got the majority of the people around this table seem to be okay with the new regulations. Are you
We
okay?
Thank you for that.
Okay, so the union is okay,
We
and
are
then the
okay.
Senate. You okay? How about classified
Oh,
union?
yes.
About not CF, yeah, CFT.
That is the union.
Yeah.
He
That-
said it's
but
by-
we had
not
another
classified
And the
senate.
classified
Classified.
senate.
Ah,
That's what I'm
CSEA.
looking at.
How about CSEA?
They're
They're
not
not
here.
here.
About the students?
She's good.
Okay.
I
Well, you don't talk anymore.
I mean, this affects you all more, I think.
Okay, all right, so, all right.
Good work.
How do the managers feel?
I'm almost done. I mean, managers, how are you? How do you feel about it?
Tito,
Not so good.
I'll let our president answer that one.
The president of management, all
Okay,
right.
so here's the answer to that. As managers, we, very often find ourselves having to make changes.
Yes.
And I would say even compromises
Yes.
in order for the job to get done.
Yes.
And so I think with some significant reservation,
Uh-huh.
We're gonna move forward with this.
Okay, all right, because I mean, regardless of what, like I said, I mean, you have something that the other groups don't have. You can always have a conversation with the president. This process is not working as it should be.
No, and I will say that I think we also have spent an inordinate,
Yes.
i.e. too much time.
Okay.
even-
All right.
It was a great exercise.
So before you go on to the next one, I
Right.
have a couple of concerns,
almost
not
done.
with the membership, but the wording of the other parts of the AP.
What are the,
So if you go to so under acting and interim appointments to classified positions.
yes,
Under 4,
mm-hmm,
it, 4A says, the announcement will go out to current full-time employees in the work unit where the acting interim position occurs. I believe that should actually be changed to
Yes,
the college,
to the whole
not
college,
just the
yes, it
work
should be to the
unit.
college, yes. Right,
And I'll just use an example of that I filled a position recently where the ultimate person who was hired into the position came from, not from instruction, but from student services. And then, so if we were filling it from an interim perspective, that person would never have even had the opportunity to apply.
right. So that it should be the whole college,
It should be the
because
whole
it should be the whole college, yeah.
And then under 6B, it says that the second sentence, the committee decides in advance of the interviews the categories to discuss with the candidates. So this interview is going to be a free-flow conversation where they've just decided these are the topics we're discussing? Or should this actually say instead that the committee decides in advance of the interviews the questions that will be used for? Because I mean,
Which one are you looking at?
I'm looking at
6B.
6B.
You look at it
Six
by all
Bravo.
of the members of the Higher Committee.
I'm just gonna say I didn't write this portion, it came from HR,
The committee decides in advance
so
of the interview.
you can change it anyway.
Well, but, so asking HR, I mean, the way it's worded, it sounds like they're just gonna decide. But we're gonna
they
talk
worded
about,
it.
we're gonna talk about enrollment, and we're gonna talk about, cheese, but we're not
So we're
gonna
gonna
decide
change-
on the questions,
So we're gonna
just
change
have-
categories to questions.
Questions, all right.
Fine, done.
Go back.
All right,
Anything else?
okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
This
good.
meeting has dragged for a long
Yes.
time already. We better
I got a
reach,
fast one to warm up.
Okay, BP 5010 admissions.
Yes, I'm gonna just let everybody know 5055 is done, we've already approved it. Susan Brooker emailed me this morning and asked that I pull 5011 and 5010 because she said there has been additional regulatory changes that need to be added
So we're
to
pulling
it.
those two.
So I'm pulling those two, that just leaves you 5010, and I don't expect this committee to take action on it today, but I do wanna bring it to your attention that it came in April of 2017 and we haven't moved on it since. Could you please agendize it and bring
Okay.
it back?
AP or BP?
The
Alright.
BP 5010. Susan's gonna talk to you about AP 5011.
Is Susan available to present on Monday? We can put it on our agenda.
I can ask her, I can
Okay.
send her an email.
Okay.
She has to make the new changes though first.
Okay.
Number 6, announcements, be brief.
BP 57.
You can make announcements, but you'll have to be brief.
I have just the one announcement that's at the bottom. We had to move the March 15th meeting to March 22nd
Okay.
because of Flex Day, and it's gonna be in the President's Conference.
All right.
On Tuesday, March 6th, we're gonna host a drop-in session for everyone to learn about our TRIO programs. They're currently in jeopardy with President Trump's Prosper Act. We received $9.2 million for these 4 programs at PCC, and so we're gonna host a noontime event so that you all can come and learn about how to support
Okay.
the TRIO programs and write letters and do phone calls so that we can preserve TRIO programs.
All right.
What day is that?
Very good.
Tuesday, March 6th at noon.
All right. Other announcements? Have your motion to adjourn.
Motion so moved.
Your move?
I'm saying get out of here.
All right. Any second?
Second.
Yes.
Everybody in favor, I guess, of that?
Aye.
All right, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
you.